Today, 3rd November, stop right here and don't scroll, because someone is trying to warn you about a person whose name begins with the letter M, and if you miss this message now, you might regret it later. I want you to breathe for a second and listen with an open heart, because what I'm about to tell you isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to prepare you. There is someone around you, maybe a friend, maybe a coworker, maybe someone you trusted more than you should have, whose recent behavior has slowly started to shift, and your intuition has been trying to get your attention, but life has been too loud for you to hear it clearly. This message is your pause, your reset, your moment of truth. Think about the person whose name begins with M. Why did their name instantly come to your mind the moment you heard the title of this video? Why did your chest feel a little tight for a second? That's not fear, that's awareness waking up. You've noticed small things, haven't you? A sudden change in tone, conversations that used to be warm now feel cold, messages that feel half-hearted, promises that seem to float with no real intention behind them. You start to question yourself, maybe I'm imagining it, maybe I'm overthinking, but deep inside, you know you're not. Your peace has been disturbed, and your heart has been whispering the truth long before this video found you. Someone with the letter M has been sending mixed signals, pulling you close one moment and pushing you away the next, giving you attention only when it benefits them, disappearing when you need them the most, and returning as if nothing happened. They're not necessarily a bad person, but their uncertainty is hurting you. Their choices are confusing you. Their inconsistency is draining your emotional energy. And today, right now, the universe is giving you this one moment to stop, observe, and truly see what's happening. If a person makes you question your worth, your value, your place in their life, that's your sign. And if that person's name begins with M, this message becomes even more important. You don't need drama. You don't need fear. You need clarity. And clarity begins with honesty, honesty with yourself. Ask yourself, do I feel safe around this person? Do I feel supported? Do I feel understood? Or do I feel uncertain, invisible, or taken for granted? Your emotions don't lie. Your intuition doesn't lie. And today, on this exact date, this message didn't show up by accident. But listen, don't cut people off in a rush. Don't react emotionally. Don't confront without thinking. Instead, simply observe. Step back a little. Watch their actions. Let them reveal themselves. A person who truly cares will show consistency. A person who doesn't will show excuses. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to prove. And if part 1 touched something inside you, then stay right here, because this is where things become clearer. The truth is, the person whose name begins with M hasn't shown you their real intentions yet, not because you're unworthy, but because they are unsure of themselves. They move in and out of your life not based on what you deserve, but based on what they can handle emotionally. You've been giving them the benefit of the doubt, defending them in your mind, telling yourself that maybe they are stressed, maybe they are busy, maybe life is overwhelming for them, and while some of that might be true, the deeper truth is that their inconsistency has slowly been training your heart to expect disappointment. And you didn't even notice how much space their uncertainty has taken in your thoughts until now. The universe brought you here so you can see things from a higher perspective, beyond emotion, beyond attachment, beyond blind trust. Think about all those moments when you waited for their message, when you wondered why they suddenly changed the way they speak to you, when you felt the energy shift without explanation. Think about the times they made you feel valued and then suddenly made you feel invisible. People who truly care don't create emotional confusion. They don't make you doubt your place in their life. They don't show up halfway. They don't leave you hanging in silence. They don't walk away without a simple sentence of honesty. And yet here you are, still hoping they'll be the version of themselves that you saw in the beginning. But beginnings are easy. Consistency is the real truth. You have a soft heart, a loyal spirit, and a patience that most people don't appreciate until it's gone. And M has gotten used to the fact that no matter how they behave, you will always be there, waiting with open arms and a forgiving heart. But today, on this exact date, something shifts, because you are finally starting to see your own worth. You are beginning to understand that love, friendship, connection, they must be mutual. You cannot carry all the weight while the other person contributes only when it's convenient. Your energy is not a backup plan. Your loyalty is not a part-time option. But here's the part most people never understand. Sometimes, M does care, but they don't know how to care properly. They are emotionally unprepared, afraid of vulnerability, scared of commitment, worried about losing control. So they keep one foot in and one foot out. They like your presence, but fear the responsibility of your heart. So they show up just enough to keep you close, but never fully enough to give you certainty. And that is why the universe is warning you, not out of danger, but out of protection. You deserve someone who shows up fully, not halfway. Someone who chooses you with clarity, not confusion. Someone who speaks with intention, not convenience. So what should you do next? Don't confront, don't argue, don't chase. Simply shift your focus back to yourself. When you pull your energy inward, something powerful happens. People reveal their true intentions. If M truly cares, they will step forward. They will try. They will show consistency. But if they don't, their silence will give you the clarity their words never did. Either way, you win, because the truth will finally rise to the surface. And as this truth settles, remember this: your story doesn't depend on one person's uncertainty. Your journey involves people who recognize your value immediately, not eventually. Stay tuned for part 3, because that's where everything becomes undeniable. If this message is speaking directly to your heart, like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the guidance meant for you. And now, as we move forward, I want you to really breathe and let this next part sink into your heart, because part 3 is where you finally begin to understand why this message found you today. The truth is, the person whose name begins with M has unintentionally placed you in an emotional waiting room, a space where you keep hoping they will walk in with clarity, commitment, and truth. But time has shown you that they enter and exit that room whenever they want, leaving you sitting there with unanswered questions and emotions you don't know where to store anymore. You didn't ask for confusion. You didn't ask for mixed signals. You asked for honesty, presence, and consistency, basic things that real connection is built on. And yet, somehow, you ended up carrying all the emotional weight while they drift through your energy like the tide, rising one moment, disappearing the next. But here is what you need to understand: life repeats lessons until we learn them. And the universe is showing you the patterns that your heart has been too kind to confront. The pattern is simple: when someone really values you, they do not create uncertainty. They do not make you guess their intentions. They don't leave you wondering what you did wrong when, in reality, you did everything right. You were loyal. You were patient. You were genuine. And still, you felt like you were standing on unstable ground, waiting for someone else to choose you with the same certainty you chose them. And isn't it strange how every time you pull back slightly, every time you try to emotionally disconnect for your own peace, M senses it and suddenly comes back with warmth, attention, or emotional closeness. Not because they're ready for something real, but because they don't want to lose the comfort of your presence. It's not that they're manipulating you, it's that they haven't figured themselves out yet. They don't know what they want, so they keep holding on to you lightly instead of letting you go or stepping fully into your life. And you, with your pure heart, keep giving them chances because you see the potential in them. You see the version of them they could be, not the version they consistently show you. But today, you are awakening. You're beginning to understand that potential cannot be the foundation of your emotional world. You cannot build a future on maybe, on sometimes, on almost. You need someone who is sure, someone who shows up without hesitation, someone whose actions are louder than their excuses. And the universe is not warning you about to create fear, it is preparing you to choose yourself before you lose yourself. It is reminding you that your love, your support, your loyalty, these are not gifts to be taken lightly. These are treasures. And if someone cannot handle them with care, you must step back and let destiny bring you someone who can. And here's the most important part: this shift isn't about cutting off or abandoning anyone. It's about reclaiming your emotional balance. When you return your energy to yourself, everything becomes clearer. You start seeing who truly wants to be in your life. You start understanding who values your presence and who simply enjoys the benefits of your kindness. If genuinely cares, they will feel the shift in your energy and rise to meet you where you deserve to be met. If they don't, they will quietly drift away, and that will be your final clarity. So as you sit with this message, understand this deeply: you are not losing anything. You are finally aligning with what you've always deserved: consistency, respect, emotional honesty, and a love that does not leave you questioning your worth. And if this message is speaking to your soul, stay ready for part 4, because that's where the transformation begins. If this is helping you see clearly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the guidance meant for your heart. As you move into this next part of the message, something inside you is already shifting, and you can feel it. Part 4 is where your understanding becomes stronger, clearer, and more grounded. Because now, you're not just thinking about the person whose name begins with M, you're beginning to reflect on how their presence has shaped your emotional world. You're starting to recognize the subtle ways their inconsistency has pushed you to question yourself, to silence your own needs, to hold back your own truth just to keep the connection alive. And the moment you begin to see this pattern, the moment you acknowledge that it has taken a toll on your inner peace, you step into a new level of awareness that cannot be undone. For the longest time, you held on to the idea that people deserve patience, that relationships take time, that misunderstandings happen. And you were right, they do. But patience should not turn into self-neglect. Time should not become an excuse for emotional confusion. And misunderstandings should not become a cycle that repeats endlessly. You've forgiven so much, overlooked so much, and tried to understand so much, that somewhere along the way you forgot that you also deserve understanding. You also deserve someone who listens, someone who shows up, someone who makes you feel seen. And the universe is showing you this truth gently but firmly, because you've spent too long carrying the emotional weight alone. Think back to those moments when you were honest about your feelings, when you opened your heart even though it made you vulnerable, when you expressed what you needed. How did M respond? Did they reassure you? Did they take your emotions seriously? Or did they retreat, become distant, or change the subject? The way someone responds to your honesty tells you everything about their emotional capacity. And slowly, you've started realizing that every time you reached out for clarity, they pulled back just enough to keep things blurry. Not because they wanted to hurt you, but because they didn't know how to meet you at the level of emotional depth you are capable of giving. But here is the truth the universe wants you to hear: you cannot keep shrinking your heart to fit inside someone else's uncertainty. You cannot keep watering a connection that only grows when you are the one doing the nurturing. Love, friendship, trust, these things need two people, not one. You've shown commitment. You've shown loyalty. You've shown sincerity. And now it's time for the energy to balance, or for you to step into a space where balance exists. And something powerful happens when you begin to pull your energy back. You start feeling lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your emotions find space to breathe again. And slowly, the person whose name begins with M begins to feel the shift, the difference between having your presence and losing it. If they truly value you, this is the moment when they will start showing effort, real effort, not just words or temporary affection. If they truly care, this is where they step forward instead of stepping away. But if they don't, then their silence becomes your answer, and that answer, no matter how painful at first, becomes your freedom. You aren't meant to chase clarity. You're meant to receive it naturally. And this message is guiding you to understand that your worth is not tied to someone's hesitation. Your value is not dependent on someone else's readiness. You are allowed to want consistency. You are allowed to want stability. You are allowed to want someone who chooses you the same way you choose them. So as part 4 comes to its close, remember this: energy never lies. If someone is meant for you, they will step into your life with certainty, not confusion. And if they aren't, the universe will gently guide them out so you can make room for someone who sees you clearly from the very beginning. If this message is opening your eyes and strengthening your heart, stay with me for part 5, because that is where your shift turns into power. And if you're finding clarity through these words, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the guidance meant for you. And now as we enter part 5, this is where everything that has been building inside you finally starts making sense. You're not just listening anymore, you're realizing. You're connecting the dots, feeling the truth rise gently but firmly inside your spirit. Because deep down, you always felt something wasn't aligned when it came to the person whose name begins with M, but you kept giving them the benefit of the doubt, hoping your patience would eventually be met with clarity. But here's the thing, clarity doesn't appear when someone is unsure about you, it appears when you become sure about yourself. And that's exactly what's happening right now. You're stepping out of emotional confusion and into emotional awareness, a place where you finally understand that your heart has been carrying more weight than it should. Think back to the times when you waited for their words, or their effort, or their consistency. Think about the moments when you hoped they would show you even a small sign that you mattered in the same way they mattered to you. Sometimes they did, just enough to keep you holding on. And other times, they disappeared so quietly that you wondered whether you imagined the closeness you once felt. This back and forth cycle didn't just drain you, it trained you to lower your expectations, to silence your own needs, to pretend you're okay with minimal effort even though your heart was craving something deeper, safer, more certain. And the moment you start pretending, you begin losing pieces of yourself, but the universe doesn't let your spirit shrink for too long. That's why this message came to you today, to remind you that the version of you who accepts half-hearted effort is not the real you. The real you deserves presence, attention, clarity, and peace. The real you deserves someone who doesn't make you question your worth. And slowly, you're beginning to reclaim that version of yourself. You're starting to feel your emotional boundaries rebuild. You're starting to understand that love is not proven through overthinking or waiting, it's proven through alignment and consistency. And M has shown you a pattern that no longer matches the level of love and emotional maturity you're ready for. And here's the powerful part, when you begin to shift inward, when you start valuing your peace more than your attachment, the entire dynamic changes. You no longer wait around hoping they'll finally show up the way they should have from the beginning. You no longer tie your worth to their uncertainty. Instead, you step into a clearer emotional space where you understand exactly what you bring to someone's life: comfort, understanding, loyalty, empathy, support. These are rare qualities. These are gifts. And if someone treats them like they are optional, then they are not ready for someone like you. This shift isn't about punishing them or forcing anything to happen, it's about realignment. When your energy changes, people react. Some rise to meet you. Some fall away. But either way, the truth comes to the surface. If M truly wants to be part of your life, they will feel the difference, and they will move with more intention, more consistency, more emotional clarity. They will stop taking your presence for granted. They will stop giving you mixed signals. They will show growth. But if they don't, if they remain distant or uncertain or inconsistent, then their absence becomes the closure you needed. And maybe that's the real message here: you don't need dramatic endings or painful confrontations. Sometimes the softest realization is the most powerful one, the realization that you deserve someone who chooses you fully, not halfway. Someone who shows up without hesitation. Someone who sees your value without needing to lose you first. And when that truth settles inside your heart, you stop begging for energy that should flow naturally. So as part 5 comes to its end, remember, this entire message is not about M. It's about you rediscovering your strength, your clarity, your emotional balance. And the more you awaken to this truth, the more unstoppable you become in every area of your life. Stay with me for part 6, because that's where your transformation turns into a new beginning. If these words are helping you see clearly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the guidance meant for you.